Welcome back, friends. Welcome back to my channel, Walking as God's Living Temple. I wanted to address a topic today concerning taking things for granted and how I consider it a sin to take life for granted, to take the things, normal things that happen around us for granted. One thing that I wanted to point out is that I see it very common in the world today that people do take things for granted. And I've heard this saying before that
say a command.
People do not
Volume
people do not
50%.
people do not forget or appreciate things until they are lost. And or something is not appreciated oftentimes until it's lost. And I disagree with that. I feel that we should not wait until something is lost before we appreciate it. Men like to chase after women, and they feel it is a challenge when they go for a girl and she may be a little bit resistant and not wanting to date them and so forth. And so they feel like a little bit of challenge and try a little bit harder and so forth in order to try to get her attention, maybe bringing her flowers and pursuing her in a way of trying to do other things in order to get her attention. And that is making an effort to show her that you appreciate her and that you find her as being someone who stands out and different out in the world. Now, when say a man does that and he goes after a girl and he finally does get her attention and she becomes his girl, then many will begin to drop the ball and will want to, forget to do the things that they did at first to get her attention. They may marry the girl and then after time goes by, stop giving her flowers, stop showing her attention, should stop doing the things that they did initially to show their interest. And the thing about that is that that's not right. All things in the world require maintenance that we do. Our own bodies, that mean when I say all things, I'm talking about in things that we endeavor to do and as tasks and a project and things like that. They require maintenance. It requires continuous upkeep. And people forget that. People don't like to do the maintenance. They want to acquire something, but they don't want to do the maintenance to maintain it. And that is erroneous thinking. We should learn from the situation and things that go on around us so that we are wiser in life. And people fail to recognize you must maintain the things that you work to acquire. And, a woman may be with a man for a long period of time, and she may at first have shown him respect and looked up to him and thought of him as someone special. And then with time, she begins to show disrespect, start talking down to the man, or just doing other things that are just totally disrespectful or totally out of character in the sense of maintaining the original level of respect, I guess you could say, in the relationship. That's not right. We are to appreciate one another, I feel, in order to keep things fresh and recognize that it is important that that we don't take each other for granted. My mom taught me this. She was when I was I say a couple years back, I would go over to my mom's house because her health wasn't always the best. And I would come over in order, let's say, to cut the grass. And she would say to me, after I cut the grass, she would say, she would want to pay me, and I said, Mom, you don't have to pay me for doing what I'm supposed to as your son. I'm supposed to do these things. Why are you trying to pay me? And this is what she would say to me. She said, I know I don't have to pay you. She said that. I know I don't have to pay you. She said, but I appreciate the fact that you could be doing something else with your time. And so she said, I recognize that, you have other things to do and that you could be doing something else with your time. So I appreciate the fact that you do come over and do this for me. So I want to show that appreciation by giving you this money. And a lot of times I wouldn't take it. Other times I would take it in order to appease her. I would take it and then put it back into her purse, or sneak around and leave it somewhere in the house so she would find it, But the lesson I learned from it is that you don't take for granted what someone does for you, even if you are supposed to do it. Family oftentimes takes for granted each other. Okay, hear what I say this. Family often take each other for granted. They expect another family member to do such and such a thing for them instead of showing them proper respect and appreciating that, hey, their family member has a right to say no. The family member maybe has other things that they could be doing, and for them to take the time to do such a thing for you, you should appreciate it. And many people are like this. This is a very widespread habit of taking each other for granted. And I feel it is a sin. You do not take each other for granted. In the Bible, in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 28, the Bible kind of indicates that the devil had himself a elevated position as a cherub in God's heavenly realm before he became Satan. And he took that for granted. The Bible says that it says, your heart became haughty because of your beauty, and you brought your wisdom to ruin on account of your beaming splendor. So he had an elevated position. He had been given good blessings by God, but he forsook that. He forgot where he got his blessings from, and he began to think and act in a haughty manner. He let his mind turn away from God instead of checking himself. You know what I'm saying? He should have checked himself. Also, another who took God for granted was, and who failed to appreciate where his blessings came from, was Adam. I believe that Adam loved his wife, Eve, when he ate from that fruit, from that tree that God told him not to eat. That God told him directly, do not eat from this tree. And so when the woman, his wife, came to him and presented him with the fruit, he had a dilemma before him. Do I eat from this fruit and displease my wife, or do I displease God? That was a dilemma right before him. He immediately had to make a decision, and he made it. And this is the thing. He made a decision to please his wife over God. He instead appreciated the gift that was given to him by God instead of the one who gave him the gift. You understand? And this is something we have to learn as people. You don't appreciate the gift more than you appreciate the one who gave you the gift. Okay? That's loyalty. you know. And so it was the one who gave him the gift that could give him another. But he failed to think in this manner, and he instead appreciated the gift more than the one who gave him the gift. And because of his lack of loyalty toward the one who gave him the gift, which was God himself, we all now have succumbed to we are sinners, and we all have fallen under the condemnation of sin because of what he did, you know. And it took the repayment paid by Jesus Christ to bring us out of the predicament that Adam had put us in. But nevertheless, Adam failed to have proper respect and appreciation for the one who gave him his gift. That was his wife. His wife was his gift. And he had more respect, more appreciation for the gift itself than he did for the one who gave him the gift. So he failed to be appreciative to his Almighty God. You know, look at Solomon in the Bible. Solomon was the wisest man, basically, who lived on earth, according to what we have learned in the Bible. And God gave him great wisdom. You know, he could pronounce 1,000 proverbs, right off 1,000 proverbs. And yet, in all of Solomon's wisdom, think about this. God told Solomon, do not have many wives. God warned him on this, okay? So as to prevent him from falling into this mistake, God said, do not have many wives. Solomon ignored that warning and had many wives. He had 700 wives and I believe 300 concubines. And it says that the Bible indicated that in Solomon's old age, he served God at first, but in his old age, his heart turned away from serving God. And his wives turned his heart away from serving God, so that he sinned and began to serve false gods and to worship false gods. Okay. Now, that was a lack of appreciation to the guy who gave him everything he had. Everything he had. He failed to remain loyal as his father had remained loyal. You know, so he failed to, he took God for granted. You know what I'm saying? This is a lesson that we all need to learn. Do not take for granted where your blessings come from. Do not take for granted the people who help you in life. Do not take for granted the good things that you have, because the Bible says, if you fail to appreciate what you have, you will lose it. You will lose it. And the Bible proves true in this. You will lose it when you fail to appreciate what you have. And so many people practice this. This is a common practice. You know, and I don't understand why people don't recognize. You must appreciate what you have and continue to appreciate what you have. You know, my wife and I have been married now for 24 years. And I make myself appreciate her. I make myself remember to get her flowers from time to time, to take her out, you know, for dinner, you know, or a movie or something special, you know, to make time to let her know she's special in my life, and not to take her for granted, because I recognize this, that, you know, she enriches my life, you know, and I'm grateful to have her in my life, you know, and I feel that, you know, all things that you have, you must maintain them, you know, because if they don't, they fall into disarray. They fall by the wayside, and you lose what you have. So you must recognize the importance and the value of maintaining what you have. Look at our bodies. We have to maintain our bodies, or else our bodies will fall into disrepair. If we do not, and this is a simple lesson that we should know automatically from life, that if you do not spend time exercising your body, eating proper foods, maintaining what you eat, that's proper foods, combing your hair, brushing your teeth, and just proper maintenance. If you don't do this, your body will fall into disrepair. Your body will fall, it will begin to break down, and it won't serve you because you don't maintain it, because you don't take care of it, because you don't appreciate it. Thus, don't take it for granted. It is given to you freely by God, but we must do the work of maintaining it. And this is a basic lesson of our own bodies. So if we don't recognize that lesson about how to take care of our own bodies, how will we take care of other things out here in the world? You cannot acquire other things until you can first recognize the importance of learning the basics. And this is a basic lesson that we need to understand. We must maintain and not take for granted the things that we are given. And so I feel, that it is a sin. The Bible doesn't say it's a sin, but I look at it as a sin, truly, to take things for granted, because you can lose so much by taking things for granted. You can lose your very life by taking things for granted. You can lose someone important to you by taking them for granted. How many men have lost good wives because they took them for granted? How many women have lost good men because they took them for granted? It is important. Don't wait until it's too late to learn this lesson. Don't wait until, I remember my mom was getting close to the point where, I knew she was getting older and she was going to be dying, in the future years. But we would go out to dinner and I would say, Mom, I want to let you know this. And I remember saying this. I say, I want to let you know, I am grateful to you for the things that you have done for me in my life. I wasn't always as close to my mom, but I learned as I got older, to appreciate her. And I told her I wanted to tell you this while you are in good health or decent health, and while you are coherent so as to understand it, that I appreciate all that you have done for me. And I don't take it for granted. I appreciate you being a good mom and the sacrifices that you made for us. And I know that you didn't have to. And so I am grateful that you made those sacrifices and looked out for us as your children and took care of us. And I want to tell you that. And not only did I tell her that, I tried to practice that through my actions of coming around, checking on her, continuously. I would call her pretty much once a week or come around once a week. I would cut her grass. I would try to do work around the house. And just let her know that she was loved by her children, by her son. And it wasn't just me. My brother also will also do the same. But my point being is just that we must take care to not take for granted the things that are valuable to us, and we must recognize what is valuable and maintain it. So, I encourage you to do this. I hope that this video resonates with you, and that you feel in a similar way that it is important to take the things that we have and that we value, to treat them with respect, to not take them for granted, and to maintain what we are given. So that if you don't maintain what you are given, you cannot necessarily be in a proper position to acquire more, because you don't even appreciate what you have. The Bible indicates if you don't appreciate what you have, you will lose it. It will be taken from you. So I encourage you all to practice these things, to tell the people that you in your life that you love them regularly, to not just say it through verbal words, but also in your actions. Because think about it. Let's say you're a husband and you have a wife that has cooked a meal for you, and it's taken an hour for her to cook that meal. and you come home, how hard is it? Is it for you to give a few seconds of appreciation and to say, thank you for taking the time to make this dinner for me, and it is so beautiful, and I appreciate all the work and effort that you did in going through this for me. How hard is that? And yet people act like they're pulling teeth. It should not be that way. And if you feel like it's that way, you need to check yourself, because the truth of the matter is, it should not be hard for you to give a moment of appreciation for the hard work that someone has done in your behalf. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't be that way. And if it is, your heart is not right, and you need to check yourself. You know, people fail to recognize, many people today in the world fail to recognize where they are making mistakes, where they need to improve. They want somebody else to do the work, but they don't want to do the work themselves. If you are unwilling to look at yourself and grow, shame on you. Shame on you. So, again, I encourage you to think about these matters, to have appreciation for the people in your life, and to show that appreciation regularly and not take them for granted. And don't wait until it's too late to take them for granted. So thank you for hearing my story, and for taking the time to allow me to share this with you. And I hope that it makes an impact in your life. Thank you, and you all have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.